You're probably broke right now and you're wondering why that is the case. You've probably followed every single bit of advice that has been given out there from every YouTuber, every business idea. You maybe worked 2 to 3 jobs and it still seems that it's not really working out for you. You are probably on the verge of just giving up and just choosing to stay. That is until you found this video. Some time ago, when I was still new to all this entrepreneurship stuff, I started a really small business. I used to sell like fried meat. If you all know this meat that is kept on sticks, and juice, fresh juice. So I tried that business. I had big dreams. I thought that the money that I could use, the money that I could get from there, I could use to invest somewhere else. And so I was really positive about it. Time went on, and after a month, losses started to hit, and I ended up taking losses back to back. I ended up reducing the prices because I was too anxious. I thought that I was overpricing. That is why people were not buying from me. And so I ended up underpricing instead. I ended up selling things and the more I sold, the more losses I got, if it makes sense. So immediately, like after 2 months of being in that business, it fell down. I started losing money, and that is exactly until I lost my capital. That is when I realized the things that I'm going to explain to you in this video. And when I knew exactly what, my life changed. Probably think that hearing people talk about money on YouTube or on other platforms will actually help you improve your life and help you to become rich. And while that may sound true, it's actually not. And I actually congratulate you because it means you're open-minded. Most people are closed-minded, and that is why they end up not making any money at all in the process. After countless failures, countless times of trying, I ended up learning that money is actually a really easy thing to make. And anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who tells you that you have to suffer to get money, is probably lying to you. And that is exactly why you are broke. You don't have the right psychology towards money. Stick around because I'm going to explain to you exactly how to make money. You probably think that money is this kind of thing that should be held on to, and once it reaches you, it should never be left to go. You think that money is something that should be protected very fiercely, like you've seen in the movies. You save, and by the end of the month, you keep wondering why you're lagging behind. You think you're making progress, but at every end month, you look at your account and you think to yourself, what is it that I'm doing with my life? Why am I not making any progress at all? You just see that you're broke, and you keep remaining broke, and it's like a loop. So you start thinking of ways to actually save yourself. And the more you do that, the more you keep getting stuck in loops. I used to actually think that money was this thing that you should really hold on to. Whenever you get it, you actually just hold on to it. You save, you become stingy. And maybe with time you'll actually become rich. Just made sure that money stayed in my account. I never took any risk, never actually followed a worthy business adventure. I never did anything at all. I just had this deep phobia of losing money, and I ended up losing myself instead. Guess what? Nothing ever changed. I just remained the same way, broke. Money is not meant to stay in your bank account or in your piggy bank or wherever you save it. It's actually meant to move, and the more it stays in wherever you are saving it, the more you are doomed to fail. And this is like the cold, hard, brutal truth that you don't want to hear. Money is not something that should be treated as this foreign substance that once it is gone, getting it is really, really rare. And the rich think very differently about this. They actually make their money move. They have little to no money left in their bank accounts. So their net worth is actually prescribed from their assets, not the money they have in their bank accounts. And I know you probably think differently. You probably have thought up to now that the money that is in your account, that is what makes you rich. And I'm here to tell you that it's actually the opposite. And come to think about it, this is exactly why you're broke. The rich don't hoard money. And the insane part is, the next mistake that I'm going to talk about is even worse than the one I've talked about. You want to get rich, but you want to get rich now. And while this may seem nice and lovely, it's actually what keeps you from being rich, and you actually just end up being more and more broke. You try something for maybe 2 weeks, a month, or maybe 2 months, and then it fails. So you go ahead and you follow the next trend. You see something that is trending, you choose it, you go again, you try it for 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, it fails again. And then you just keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. You start wondering, why is everything not working? Why are you still remaining broke, yet you're trying everything and nothing is working for you? You start questioning your abilities, and you end up more and more depressed. And as you end up more and more depressed, you end up becoming more and more broke. In my first story, I actually mentioned how I started a small business and it ended up failing in 2 months. I was in so much speed to become successful, and so when the losses started to hit, I started getting back-to-back losses. I just became very, very anxious. I started losing sleep. I thought that when you start a business, it just takes like 2 weeks or a month to actually make really good money. And this was the kind of mentality that I started business with. And so I started losing a lot of money. And instead of sticking to that business, I just tried, when it failed, I just tried another one, and it also failed. I tried another one again, it also failed. And I kept repeating the same thing over and over. And that is until I learned my lesson. And actually, the funny thing is, I ended up with so much debts, even after making so much effort, changing businesses from one business to another. I came and had like a lot of debts, and people started calling me. So I had to change numbers because I had no money to actually pay people I owed. Rich people are actually rich because they just stay long enough until it works out. And you're probably doing the opposite. You just wait until you feel like these losses are too much, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then you just decide to shift to another business. And that is exactly the mentality that is destroying you. You have to remain consistent through trials and tribulations. And I'm going to tell you this without a benefit of doubt. You will actually fail a lot of times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000,000 times. But what determines if you're going to actually build the kind of wealth you want to build is the fact that you can just choose to give up, or you just choose to remain consistent until it works out. And the people who actually make fortunes are the people who stay in that single business venture that they were doing. So you just have to improve and improve, learn from your failures, become consistent. Every time you fail, think of it as a learning curve. When you fail, you just choose to learn from your failures, you journal whatever mistakes you have made, and you correct them and you move forward. And trust me, success is inevitable if you do not quit, and if you learn from your mistakes and you keep on improving. With time, you'll actually become really, really successful. Even if you stayed consistent and you still had the next trait that I'm going to talk about, you will still remain broke. You don't have money problems. Your problem is that you're too desperate, and that is exactly what is keeping you broke. You probably need money right now, and this is exactly what is killing you. You need money right now, and we all do. We all need money. But if you choose to succumb to this pressure, it gets to your nerves, and you have too many responsibilities that you need to take care of. So you just need this thing that will give you cash flow right now so that you can take care of your responsibilities. And it's actually not a bad thing to have pressures. Everyone has pressures. I had like the worst trait of all. I always chose to take all opportunities that came across me. Whenever there was this trend that was trending and it was a worthy thing to look at, and I saw viable opportunity to do it, I would always do it. So this came out as a curse on me, because whenever I saw something else, I would quickly rush and do it, and instead I would leave the other one pending. When you are like a slave to many masters, you cannot really serve all of them well. It's like whenever you have many masters, they will always demand many things from you. So when you try to serve them all, you just end up ruining yourself more and more. I was actually so desperate. Everything that I came across, I wanted it to really work, because I wanted to prove to myself and to my family that I can actually build something for myself. And guess what happened? I just ended up losing more and more, and I ended up disappointing everyone. Preparation is an intelligence killer. It makes you rush through decisions without really having to think about it. You just choose to do things in extreme pressure, and whenever you are in pressure, you don't always make the right decision. In fact, you make the most stupidest decisions. So whenever things are pressuring you, remember this. It also makes you ignore all the red flags, which will probably lead you to getting scammed. You just choose to do something. If something has low proof of working out, and you've seen people maybe online, they're making money from it, You just go in blindly. You ignore everything. You just think about the money. You are in a rush to get that money. You end up accepting low value outcomes. As long as just you get paid, you don't mind. You just accept anything from anyone. Remember, I actually lost everything due to underpricing because I just accepted like whatever the outcome, as long as I am making some money, I could really feel good for myself. And I ended up just losing the business like that. I ended up appreciating just low value outcomes. And this leads to exactly another killer mistake. You don't just want money, you want all of it. If you were given two choices, one is that you take $1 million right now, and the other one is that you take $100,000 monthly for maybe 2 years or something like that, then you would probably choose the 1 million. You don't want slow growth. You want big money, fast results, and big wins. You see people on social media, they are flaunting really big money, they have big cars, and you feel behind, you feel left out. And so you start looking for these quick results. You start thinking if they can achieve that greatness, they can make quick money, so can you too. Some time ago, I did extensive research on a certain business that I wanted to engage in. And so it took an year or something to actually learn it fully. And after that year, I started engaging in it. And after some months, after little to slow progress, I started seeing people on social media. They were actually making really big money in a couple of days or so. And so I started thinking to myself, if they can do it, I can do better than them. I have this ego problem. And if you're a friend of mine, you actually know this. I always like to think of myself as the best in anything I do. And so that feeling got to me. I started thinking if they can do it, I can do it more. And imagine, within a day, I actually lost everything. Even the initial capital that I started with, I even lost that. That actually forced me to acknowledge the mistake that I am going to give you now. Greed makes you skip goals that are really crucial to your goals. When you skip, you end up losing even more steps than you could have taken if you just started without the greed in the first place. Lose money, you will lose years, and you will just end up going back to scratch and just starting again. I've always encouraged greed. I don't think greed is really a bad thing, but it actually becomes a bad thing if it is not controlled. So uncontrolled greed is actually the bad thing. It will ruin you completely. And now we get to the biggest lie ever that you've been told. Growing up, you're probably told, save money, be safe, and in a couple of years, you will become rich. Sounds like good advice, right? Wrong. You probably avoid taking risks. You do not feel the need to engage in things that are really risky to you. Things that will probably have a chance of making you lose your hard-earned money. You feel uncomfortable taking these risky decisions, and deep down you just know that if you just keep your money and you just stay with it, it will remain in maybe your pockets or your safe or your piggy bank, and you won't have to worry about it. Eventually, it will always just remain there. When I was working at a certain place, I had this philosophy that after every salary, I had to save like 40% of the money I made. That is after responsibilities and stuff. I calculated it actually. And so after the first month, I made little money. I was left with little money that I could save, maybe 5%. And I thought to myself, maybe it's because like it's the first month. So I ended up trying it the second month, the third month, and I ended up realizing that the more I tried saving, the more little money I had. And I know you probably have experienced this. If you are a saver, that is, you save money every time. And every time you try to save money, you just end up having less and less of it. You don't know how it ends up being used. Responsibilities will always come, and so when it comes, you just end up losing the money. Rich people don't save money, they actually choose to invest instead. Think of it like a casino. Whenever you flip the balls, within a period of time, you will actually hit gold. So it's the same in real life situation. I'm not saying you go and gamble, but if you think of it in the same way, whenever you invest, it has two possibilities. You can either lose it or you can either make more of it. So when you invest, then there's a 50-50% chance that you can actually make it or you can actually lose it. But if it stays saved, then there is actually 0% chance of it of you becoming successful. Think of it this way. If you leave your money to stay in the safe and it ends up getting molds, what is the point of it? You probably think that when you get old, that is when you will get to enjoy the money you make right now. But what you're not saying is that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So you should actually like live in the present. I'm not saying you use your money carelessly. I'm saying that you rather invest it and just choose to take risks. Life is all about risks. Even when you step out in the morning to go to work, you're taking a risk, because you might end up getting hit by a car and you die. You end up getting into an accident. So life is all about risks. Why is it that when it comes to money, you're not really taking any risk at all? Imagine two people. One invests $10,000 to a business, and he invests in skills and knowledge. He maybe buys a course and learns and uses it to build a business. And the other one is just saving that money, that $10,000. In 5 years to come, who do you really think will become successful? And it's so obvious. Look at your life right now from a third lens and ask yourself, honestly, which one of these is your weakness? Be brutally honest. The cold, brutal truth that I'm going to tell you right now, that you need to hear right now, is that you don't need any more motivation. You already have it. What you just need is to stop the habits that are keeping you stuck. Money is not random. It follows a certain behavior. So change your behavior and you just end up changing your life. So if you're still broke 1 year from now, it won't be a mystery. It will be a decision that you actually make from now on. Become the greatest your bloodline has ever seen, and then pass it down.